Why was the city able to go ahead and rescind the boil order this morning?
So we were able to rescind the boil water notice because the samples that we had to provide to the Northeast Texas Public Health Department laboratory were tested this morning. Those tests came back negative for any E. coli. So when we got the word that those results were negative, we were able to immediately lift the boil water notice.
Was it just a general sample from the water? Can you elaborate on that?
Okay, so Tyler Water Utilities samples water all over the city, and they test those samples every day. So there's dozens of samples taken from sites around the city every single day. So on Thursday, one of those samples came back positive. When we get a positive on that by TCEQ requirements, we then have to do some more sampling at that location and also upstream and downstream from that location. So we pulled samples from all the sites that we were required to pull to get samples from, and we took those back to the lab. Well, that same site came back with a positive again. And so that once that positive came back on that same test site, that's when we had to do the initial boil water notice. So we did that. And then we had to, again, go get some more samples, provide those to the lab. The lab has a process they go to test water. It had to incubate for a certain amount of time, I think it's 18 hours. The Northeast Texas Public Health Lab personnel came in today on a Saturday. They looked at those samples, tested those samples, and declared that that sample was clear and that we could rescind the boil water notice.
You get a sample of E. coli from this area. What do you do to make sure that there's no longer, and you're taking all these tests, but what do you do to make sure that it's actually being removed from the system?
It was never in the system. We believe that the E. coli was probably cross-contaminated into the sample somehow. E. coli is very common. It's common in nature. It's common in dirt. It's common on your hands. It's common in your clothes. So it's very easy to actually transfer that type of bacteria onto a sample that goes to the lab. So we actually think that that's what happened. We think that that particular test site, that spigot, that faucet that we test from may have been contaminated, or that there was a cross-contamination with the sample by the human that took the sample to the lab.
Can you tell me where that sample came from?
It came from Central Tyler location.
Do you know of anyone who's sick or may have been hospitalized at this point?
We are not aware of anyone or been told by any medical authorities in the city or anywhere that anyone has come in and presented with an illness that has been determined to be from our water system.
Is there anything else you'd like the public to know at this time?
I just want to thank everybody for their patience in this. These are hard to get through. These are not anything we ever want to go into. These are required. Tyler Water Utilities, as well as any water provider in the country, is required to follow these procedures. Here in Texas, we follow the requirements from TCEQ, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, and also the EPA. So these are things that are required of us to do. We don't want to put our entire city in a boil water notice, especially on a Friday night. We get it that that's inconvenient, but we just want to thank everybody for their patience and their understanding, and we want to just make sure that our water users know that our water here in Tyler, the Tyler Water Utilities, meets and exceeds federal and state standards every day.